What's up? So getting a chance to work a little bit more mobility stuff. Got some visitors today from Australia coming to train at the gym today, a little bit inspired by the Drift to Lift series, and so I'm happy to have them. I have Tavis and Lachlan, and they're CrossFitters, seem to be doing some weightlifting, ex-professional cyclist, rugby player, and football player, American football. So they're going to work with me with some breathing.
From a martial arts background.
And martial arts background.
Yeah.
So basically jack of all trades, just different jacks than I like to participate in.
So basically what we were talking to Matt about earlier is not only breath control. An athlete like Matt will have a lot of breath control and core control and probably is using his diaphragm for a lot of his breathing, but because we're not going high-end cardio aerobic capacity, he's not running into the issues where we start higher chest breathing. Because you've got to brace up. And
Fair.
Your background with weightlifting, with power work, all that sort of stuff, that's going to be the cue.
Right.
You will have gone butt, gut, and you're going to stay organised. And then when you're out in the field and you're throwing rocks around and that sort of stuff, we're still organised again. What we want to look at is the release of that organisation for mobility and also down regulation for sleeping and just chilling out after the fact. You know, particularly in competition, we're pumped up all of the time. If we're traveling and then we're trying to come off that and getting shut down in particular positions, we want to be able to work on breath control for relaxation. So a lot of time on the road, a lot of time in cars and planes, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can get a little bit antsy in that airplane space because it sucks. You know, we can space out
a long time, long flights. Like
yeah, you guys stuff's ridiculous.
Yeah, we're across the goddamn Pacific.
Yeah.
That's a long haul.
But we're still holding on to a lot of tension. Obviously, fascial health through the core is really important for that. So gut smash, diaphragm, intestinal smash, all that kind of gear. But when we're staying breathing up high, even in an airplane seat or otherwise, we're not actually getting the chance to relax and we're not releasing all that sort of stuff. So just for a point of example, I'm just going to get Matt to lie on his back on the ground. And Matt's got pretty good hamstring flexibility, but we're going to bring him up here to about end range of motion. Not too bad. I'm going to release that again. Matt, breathe in, diaphragmatically, good, hold. So that's when I'm running the blockage. Breathe out and relax. Breathe through into that. Hold it again. And obviously as we're mobilising, out again. If we're mobilising for end range of motion and we're working on our actual flexibility, this is what's going to help us hunt into those extra few degree of play that we may not normally get to.
What exactly is the end range of motion rather where you've restricted yourself to? You know, if we're just breathing in through the chest, breaking that spinal position and not letting that play space with that nice deep breath through the diaphragm, we can start to actually get control and release through the muscular system.
And this is a point where we're big fans of the training mask, and where a lot of people don't use it is used for mobility work. And Tavis was talking about it earlier, staying organised and actually having to focus on our breath and breathing diaphragmatically when we're in these mobilisations. So the other one we want to talk about too is obviously we're breathing in diaphragmatically whenever we're doing mobilisation, and if it's contract release, the breath's coming in there and the release is from there. But the other one I wanted to talk to Matt about was relaxation for after the fact.
Sleep.
Awesome. Yeah.
Wind down.
Down regulating, helping get to sleep at night. So a lot of us, you know, we've got a pretty busy schedule, we may have been training a lot, we may be jet lagged, whatever else, and we're in a state where we're lying down, we're trying to get to sleep, but we're not there yet. I'm a big fan of the idea that this is my system. I can control what's on a barbell. I can control my technique for a snatch. I should be able to control my breathing to be able to relax and go to sleep again. So I don't know whether or not you've come across box breathing at all.
Not.
Okay, box breathing is a really good way we can actually start to organise and relax. So number one, when we breathe in through the nose, we actually get better nitrogen uptake than just breathing in through the mouth. Helps us relax, helps regulate the brain. So if we can be lying down, we can be sitting down, whatever else, our box breathing is going to be in through the nose and held and back out through the nose. So a lot of you mouth breathers out there, you're not getting the same oxygen uptake as some other people. So Matt, what we want to work on, we want a 5-second deep breath in, but I want you breathing right in the middle of the diaphragm.
So we fill into the belly first, and then that you'll feel that through the diaphragm, then it can come up into the chest, and then the release is a reversal of that. So we're not going to see a rise in the collarbone. You often hear lifters talk about that a lot. You know, we know you're doing it wrong because we get you on the barbell and now we're breaking that position. So it's the same concept. You're going to see the chest come up, not like that. Instead, we're in the belly and you'll feel it come up through everything else and just reverse it back down. So then through the chest, diaphragm, and then we can squeeze that belly back through so we know what's the big one we talk about, the final release of breath to then take a full one. And that really counts under the barbell.
A lot of the time people get short with breath because we're not actually releasing all the way out from our lungs. And that's where we start to run into trouble or run into fear response, because we start getting short, and that's when we start to hyperventilate. And really that's what happens if you're having a little bit of a freak out on a plane, anything like that. If you're driving around your car and the traffic gets a bit sketchy, that's kind of what's going on, because we're not getting that release.
Yeah, fighting anxiety.
Exactly, and that's fear response. But we learn something when we get to that point, and that's why sometimes we'll put people under heavy load to get fear response. Sometimes for new CrossFitters, if we're doing a handstand, just changing that equilibrium is going to freak them out. But the more we test that, the more we can start to control it. So the box breathing, we're going in through the nose for a count of 5, controlled, and then we're holding it for 5, and then releasing back out for 5 again, slowly. And then pausing at the end of the breath and really feeling what that emptiness feels like.
That drawn down stomach because we've emptied it all.
And then coming back through again and repeating that pattern. So boxing as much as it's 5, 5, 5, 5, and starting to find a cycle through that breathing. But when we do release that breath, we should actually feel a little bit more relaxation.
Sure.
At that end moment. And personally, if you've done enough meditative work.
Right, that's what I was about to talk. A little bit more meditative, where you're focusing so much on breathing that you're not running through the other bullshit
around. And if you've gotten to a stage where you can really feel out that count for 5 each time, great. But for a lot of other people, focusing on that and counting it out in their head
is meditation alone.
Is meditation alone. And a lot of people have trouble when they do try to meditate because they don't know what they're looking for.
They're looking for their old mantra, or they're trying to repeat something for themselves. Often they'll get confused, they'll get off track. Like, we can get to that stage, but maybe keep it simple, just keep it numbers.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
especially, if you once you break the, like the, I guess, autonomous breath cycle.
Yep.
And you're thinking about each breath and trying to have a different, not natural pattern.
Yep.
It is. You have to focus on.
And so the end game is that we want to be in that state continuously. So when you said before, I find the training mask, it feels like I'm doing something then, but not really later. That's kind of the point. It's the same as training anything like we spoke about, foot position or any of those other little training pathways before. That breath, once you rip that sucker off from 18,000 feet, you're probably still going to be breathing like that. We don't have the same restriction, but we're getting used to actually
building a pattern.
Yeah, building a pattern and then getting familiar with that. So if you've had 600 pounds on your back,
right,
you need to feel that out a few times to get there, and you start to learn what that's like. If you're doing a handstand, you need to start to, you want to do handstand walks, we need to build time in the handstand to begin with. Same thing with the breathing. We need to start to feel out, okay, this is what this relaxation is like. Personally for me, if I'm loaded up with anything and I've got to come in and rip a deadlift off the ground, I've got the ability to breathe in, breathe out, and that breathe out is just a relaxed zone, and I'm released by that point. But we want you to feel like you're under control. So, under your own control.
Sure.
So that breathing helps us to regulate, helps us to clear the mind, and then we start to bring everything back down. We're getting the nitrogen uptake with the nasal breathing rather than the mouth breathing. Also getting the diaphragmatic control and release, but feeling out and breath and relaxation from there.
Very cool. Very cool. That's something to think about. The more you can relax, the better you'll be able to recover. The more you can come and train harder the next day, and keep making progress in all aspects. So appreciate the help.
No problem, man.
Thanks, brother. Cheers.
Cheers.